Sorry, I know I look terrible. Um, I'll try to look a little more respectable. Good morning, everybody. I'm still in San Diego. Tired. I'm tired, so I'll do my best. I don't know how long this call will be because if I receive a call, I have to go to the hospital. I have to go. Certainly by around noon. So at the longest, this will be is maybe 3 hours at the longest. It'll probably be shorter than that. So I think I'm live. Two of you watching, thank you for joining. I'm trying to think where to start. Broadly, two things I want to accomplish today. One is to get across to you how strongly I believe that you should own Railtown. You should buy it, hold it, add to it, and continue to overcommit to it. Obviously, it's your own judgment. I mean, for me, and it's not like I'm a big investor anymore, but for me, everything should be in Railtown. And that's my second thing I want to do is go over a stock with you and show you again what the criminals do. Now, the criminals take advantage of a system that is set up in order to benefit Wall Street and the big funds, and everybody from Goldman Sachs to I mean Jeffries, Alpine, the whole list of them. It's you cannot win. Every time somebody brings you a hot stock, like I'm not going to use names. You know who comes to you. You're going to lose unless you're in it, out. You get in, get out. You do your own. You play the pump and dump, as they call it. It used to be called stock pools. And the SEC is currently a joke. NASDAQ is a joke. Over-the-counter markets are a joke. FINRA is a joke. Congressional oversight is a joke. Internal compliance is a joke. Journalism is a joke. Professors, studies, all are a joke. But something in your head still tells you the systems are in place. The system still works. How would they let that happen? Well, not only do they let it happen, they encourage it. And we'll go through that because I think it's important to address the broader attack on stocks, the broader scheme. But specifically what's going on with Railtown from the attack standpoint is, well, part of it I don't know. I should have looked on his, he has a Twitter account, but this guy, Tom Ronk, has done his study on Railtown, and I've shown you the numbers. There's probably over 46 million shares of Railtown in the United States, which when the trades were initially established were sales that were fake. Stock that wasn't located, stock that wasn't delivered, stock that wasn't borrowed. Now, the caveat is probably some portion of that gets crossed later on, and there may be some covering there. Of course, you haven't seen it, but the fact is we don't know. And Ronk's methodology, I don't think, picks all of that up. But there is a gigantic, at least initially established over time, short position in, well, non behind the scenes, I don't know what to call it, non-visible short system position. 46, half the outstanding shares. Half. Well, no, sorry. Half the float. The outstanding shares, it's about a third of the outstanding shares. About a third of the outstanding shares. It's huge. It's huge. But my point is, I don't want you thinking about Railtown as a short play or a short squeeze play. My only point is that I don't understand why that position is so large. So I've looked. I haven't found that Railtown ever did a toxic financing, at least to my eyes. Could it just be that a lot of that position is established because of high arbitrage, high frequency trading in the over-the-counter market to play pennies and half of pennies and a third of pennies and a tenth of a penny in high-speed computerized arbitrage between the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, the Canadian stock price, and the over-the-counter? Maybe. So we don't really know. But back to my original point, specifically with Railtown's current attacks, I think it started on February 11th, 2025, when the headlines went across all the news wires that Railtown announces an MOU to acquire AI partnerships. Well, the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, as I've explained before, that's not a final deal. And so the SEC requires the longs to drop their shorts and show it first, whilst the bad guys all giggle and laugh like little children from the audience. That's what the SEC does. Hey, you got a full transparency. So what the computers on the criminal side, on the short side, the high frequency trading that for some reason Adina Friedman and Chuck E. Cheese Cromwell believe that their markets need. They're not on the side of CEOs. They're not on the side of shareholders. They're on the side of the destroyers. Adina Friedman makes her money because she's on the side of people who destroy entire market caps of NASDAQ companies. And this Charlie Cromwell crawl out of the bottom of a refrigerator in the kitchen, Cheshire smile, over-the-counter jerk, clown. He oversees the slaughter of American investors in the over-the-counter market, but he smiles. Anyway, when their high-frequency computers pick up, using AI, by the way, pick up MOU, they start selling, because they figure what we can do in a traditional trade, what we can do is CEO number one has made an agreement with CEO number two, and they're gonna merge, and they're gonna have a word I hate. There's going to be synergy, and you're going to see growth and Shangri-La. Well, if CEO number one has made the deal to buy CEO number two's company for $10 million worth of stock, and they've set the stock at let's say 10 million shares at $1, well, all the shorts have to do is sell that stock from $1 down to 30 cents, and that deal's off. That deal's canceled. This CEO will call up, this CEO number one will call up CEO number two, and she'll say, hey, we're ready to go. And CEO number two will say, wait a minute. When we first made the deal, your stock was $1. Now it's 30 cents. You either got to change the terms. In other words, you got to give 30 million shares of stock, or the deal's off. Well, she says, let me get back to you. Well, in that status, the shorts have won because they've taken the outstanding number of shares to get the deal done, if it gets approved by the board, from an increase of 10 million to an increase of 30 million. And of course, it's hypothetical, so I don't know. But you see the point. They've tripled the number of shares that have to be issued. So if she goes back to her board and they say, okay, these guys have won because they sold at an average of maybe 80 or 90 cents. It's at 30 cents. Their buddies at the investment bank will get a deal done to finance it at a discount to market. So they've made a huge profit. Alternatively, she could call up the second CEO, and the second CEO says, screw you. We're not doing it. I've never been involved in such a slapdash operation in my life. Well, in this second scenario, the stock then of both companies, once they announce, hey, the deal's off, the stock in both companies goes down. So the criminals win. That's why the computers start selling when they see MOU. Further, in the body of the announcement, it said they intend, Railtown and AI Partners intends to have a finalized LOI in a matter of weeks. I forget the exact wording, but it was weeks. Again, if that's in the news announcement, the computers pick it up, they start selling. And it's those two scenarios that the shorts win. They win if they just destroy the deal because the stocks get sold off. They win if the deal gets repriced. In other words, more shares issued at a lower level. And they win if they're connected to Canaccord, because they do shorting business with Canaccord. Canaccord is notorious for being a funnel, for sure. All of Wall Street is. It's ingrained. And Adina Friedman is such a wimp. She won't stand up to it. Cromwell looks like he's, he belongs on a Broadway play. Dressed up like a clown or a cat or something. He has no spine. But hey, this is America. Worry about yourself, your vacations, your ability to buy a nice car. Say you went to Harvard, and say you married someone 6'2" or taller, and say that you're the most powerful woman on Wall Street. It's all bullshit. It's end of a financial empire. It's financialization of everything. And I want to look up the speech. Apparently, Solzhenitsyn gave a speech. Solzhenitsyn. I couldn't read his book. I tried it, The Gulag Archipelago. It's one of the books. It was daunting. So I read the book instead, A Day in the Life of Ivan Ivanovich. But Solzhenitsyn gave a speech, I guess, basically at the beginning of this bull market. I think he was talking about the Soviet Union. I haven't seen the speech. I want to look it up. But he said, man has forgotten about God. And I don't want to get into I'm not trying to morph into a religious discussion, but maybe you can just simplify it to say that in the Soviet Union, they forgot their morals and their ideals and what a civilization is, a society is created for. And it was to each their own. Well, I would argue, Putin's gone back to emphasizing or allowing religion. But in the United States, I don't know what's going on. We do not look out for each other, and we don't follow. I live in a rough part of DC now, and every store you go into, just if you want to buy shampoo, you got to ring a bell. Somebody's got to come with a key and open it up. I mean, in the suburbs, and it's, you don't have to live that way, but in the suburbs, all my life, I've taken it for granted. You can walk into any store and buy anything, and it's all because people don't steal in general. It's not because they're better people. It's just because society has certain mores that are followed. Anyway, I guess that's what, I don't know. I'd want to see the speech. But this destruction of the markets, where Adina Friedman goes along with it and Caldwell goes along with it, is just a sign of the total collapse of morality, of integrity, of the United States dream, really. We can get it back, but it's going to require yanking Adina, yanking Caldwell. I think Trump should nationalize the over-the-counter market. Screw the NASDAQ. Just take the over-the-counter market as is, put it inside of maybe the Treasury Department or the FBI, or just start a new cabinet level post called Make American Security Markets Great Again, or something, or call it the Trump market. I don't care, but simply follow the rules and get rid of this high frequency trading. Get rid of all this shorting. Get rid of all of it, and just make an honest market. You'd be surprised. Oil and gas would come back. Mining would come back. Water deals would get financed. Orchids could grow and blossom. Ideas like one that was dumped on me years ago. This young woman had an idea for pillows. Anyway, any idea could get funded and have a chance. Pillows that somehow you take your own pillow on the airplane and travel with your own pillow, suck your thumb. I don't know. It's just, I didn't like the idea, but the guy that gave it to me, I did it as a favor because we were looking at other transactions. But anyway, let's get back to Railtown. That's why on February 11th, 2025, the shorts computers entered into transactions to sell the stock. And that was all automatic. They didn't know anything. They didn't study anything. They didn't call the company. They didn't look at filings like Tony De Niro. There's a going concern clause. They didn't do any of that. It's just computers, high frequency computers set up to sell everything. It's the whole market. Thousands of companies, thousands in the two markets. And it's law of large numbers. So whoever was responsible for those trades was probably out with the boss's wife. He wasn't making a decision. It's just a machine, and it's relentless, and it doesn't care about you, and it just keeps going and going and going. And so it's been frustrating that the transaction is taking so long. But I know for most of you, you were involved in the let's get a group of guys together. We'll call that guy, and I know this guy, and why don't we try this? And hey, let's all fly down and meet. And this company, the Kramers have shorted it, but let's bring in a unrelated company and merge, and boom, or this company, it's got a warehouse full of penthouse pictures that were tired when they were better than Playboy maybe, but they were tired and ignored as soon as Hustler came out. But now there's the internet, so what? No one is interested anymore. But let's pretend that has value, and we'll create a site for creators. And then we got this guy, and I, at that time, I really believed that Jeremy was on the side. I now think that he might be part of it all. I don't know. You don't know. That's the problem. You just don't know. But all of that, hey, let's get him to buy, man. I know you've been through all of that. And so you're sitting here thinking, well, is Railtown just another one of those? You can't help it. You can't help it. And the over-the-counter market is a disaster. You're gonna lose. You're right to be on top of every trade every day. There's no protections. It's insane. I mean, a friend of mine told me, and she was right. I don't know, a year and a half ago. Maybe it's just better to put things in ETFs. Earn 8%, maybe, dividend and performance. And let Wall Street handle everything else, crime on everything else, maybe. But in the case of Railtown, if you can stand it for 2 more weeks, let me add it up. It's my theory is everybody comes back from vacation in the middle of the week. They call it Tuesday. Well, by definition, Tuesday, but probably Wednesday, maybe even Thursday. So basically, the first week is gone. And the braver, the more powerful people probably take that week off as well. So I think the first week, all right, so it's Wednesday the 27th. There's 2 days trading left in August, 2 days. I got such blowback in July when I was saying this could take till September, but hey, it turns out it is taking until September. So we've got today and 2 more trading days in August. I guess something could happen today, but don't count on it. There's no way. There is no way if something good got done that it would be announced on the Thursday before a 3-day weekend or a Friday before the 3-day weekend. So I think just get rid of the idea that you're about to hear anything. And that way, as the shorts continue to do the only thing they know how, you can take the opportunity to buy shares rather than be nervous. Why isn't something happening? There must be something wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So then Monday's a holiday. Most people are going to roll into work. I'm going to guess Wednesday, the powerful people. And then there'll be some drifting in. I mean, suppose that maybe they'll just skip that whole week. So I say the second week of September. How far away is that? What day should we pick? Should we go all the way to Friday? No. I'm going to say September 10th. September 10th. Or should we go to the 15th? Well, it's maybe let's do both. So from today, account today, we have 3 days this week, 4 days next week, and that would be 2 days prior to the 10th. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Nine days till the 10th. And if you want to go to the 15th, it would be, I'm talking business, I'm talking trading days, 9 to 14 trading days. We can make it through that. I think by that time, let's say by the 15th of September, that this deal will be announced as being finished. And you ask, well, why does it take so long? And I don't know. I would imagine that it's just a big deal, and it's a lot of signatures. It's a lot of pompous attorneys. They only get paid by time, and you got to stretch. They all know it. They all know it. They work with each other, even though they don't know their names. Let's stretch this out. Well, let's arrange a conference call with your board on Monday morning at 10, and we'll have our team on, and I'm going to bring in our junior representative, and I've got to bring my partner in who handles I don't know, Canadian securities law, and we'll have that, and then the meeting starts on telephonically, and your own firm is probably 5 people. The assistant is 200 to 300, 500 an hour. Your point of contact attorney might charge you 800 an hour, and then you're bringing in the partner at 2,500 an hour, and then you're bringing in some other expertise to sit there, and she's 1,000 an hour, and you start a conference call, and then one of the attorneys bloviates about, well, what happens here is you've got this rule that, if you don't follow it, you're going to, and just goes on. And I once had a case in California, and if we hadn't, and it goes on, he goes on and 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 on. I've been on these calls. I've been on them. I've done it. I think I told you the other day. I once said, "Wait a minute, why are we listening to you? You're not telling us anything new." This guy went on for 40 minutes. I said, "You've got all these people. How much are we paying an hour? We don't have the money. $3,500 an hour to listen to this crap? Of course, I could have handled it better. But he yelled across the phone, F you, Farron. But that's what goes on, guys. It's a lot of attorneys. Number one, I think that's what's taking so long. Number two, you've got regulators involved. Number three, you've got a hot space. They've already announced 4 or 5, you can look it up, of these enterprise sales agreements. I mean, what if there's more of them? What if there's more of them? They were out promoting themselves with this conductor platform, which apparently is the bee's knees. It's first to market, it's the best available product, it's proprietary, and it works. Everybody wants it. So it's not a stretch to believe that they're having to process additional proposals for sales agreements. I don't know how does that speed up or interfere with a merger? I don't know, but it's possible. And then you've got the human element. Just imagine all the approvals. I've said it before, so I'm not going to say it again, but you can stretch it out. AI Partners, Railtown, the regulators, Canaccord, and then 160 companies. I mean, just think how hard it is to get your wife and your daughter and your dog to the car when you're trying to hit the road by 6:30 a.m. so you beat the traffic. Imagine if you had to get 200 people all organized. It's just the lay of the land. And then you add on top of that vacation. Oh my gosh. Up in Canada, they all go on vacation. I just think you gotta, as long as you can plan on September, then you're not, and I've been saying this for a while, but you're not stressing. I will say a lot of you have taken the advantage of this and purchased. That's what I think you should do. And I'll try to look up the price here in a minute, because at 830 plus 3, it should be trading already. I'll look up the price. So we're now, it's not enormously different, but we're now at 11,564,831, 8.3% from my memory of the Yahoo outstanding number. And we have 196 people that are in the stock. That's really good, guys. This is as powerful as any hedge fund out there. And I think if we can stick together broadly, we'll be able to send one of you to the shareholders meeting, or to the maybe a delegation can go fly up and visit the company, or we can all meet somewhere, maybe in who was the gentleman who sold the Harley Davidson? Maybe we could all meet at his showroom, and the company, they can all present to us. Anyway, we'll have a lot. Once the quiet period is over, we'll get a lot of information. We'll be treated very well. And maybe initially it'll be via me, but it doesn't have to be me. I'm not trying to, what's the word? I'm not trying. This is you. It's not me. It's not you. It's me. It's the other way around. It's you, not me. So anyway, let's look up the prices. My main point there is that the shorting is automatic. It's relentless. I think they got trapped in it, but it's non-thinking. There's no thoughts going on. have set it up so if they apply the system they use, which is just criminal, part of it's legal. The banks were able to fool the gentleman that was our president, who Christopher Hitchin wrote a book about. The title was No One Left to Lie To. But they were able to fool the great fooler, Bill Clinton. And he signed, his administration passed a very significant change on Wall Street in 1994 that allows you to purchase whatever you want to buy through a brokerage firm, but they don't have to give you the stock. And in fact, they don't. They just give you an entitlement. And we're all of us, 65,000 in MMTOP, and the rest. We all I can do is talk about myself. Been fighting the shorts, but that information, which only came to me about 3 months ago, when I read it in David Morgan monthly letter, about 3 months ago. Otherwise, we think we're fighting something that's a wrong, but Bill Clinton made that right. He said it's okay for the banksters to sell you shit. That's Bill Clinton, greatest president in the United States. Oh, I wish we had him back. The great liar. All right, let's get the prices. I voted for him twice, so don't jump all over me. Wow, GTII, 3 cents. 3 cents. 3 cents for GTII. Okay, so Railtown is sucking wind at 48.64. But guys, that's your chance to add to your positions. Buy it for the first time or hold it. It's bidding 48, asking 48.79, 14,000 to buy. And then they put out, it's all fake. No one's selling 49,000 shares, real shares. They're not selling it. But they want to scare you. They just drive it down. And they're so disgusting. They sent to me last night more crap. And they think their systems are going to work this time. They're not. They're idiots. You're going to win this time if you keep Railtown, if you buy Railtown. And you have to buy enough Railtown so that it brings your account whole and brings your account into the green. You can't just timidly stab at it. I think you have to commit all in on Railtown. And all these people that give you this crap from Wall Street that you got to be diversified. There's no diversification in this. What's the difference if you hold ALTS, MTN, NRGV, GTII, NWBO, RDAR, GBUX, FNGR? Those are the ones I have here right now. But you know the list. They're all crap, except for Railtown. But you're having a hard time. What if Railtown's just like the rest of it? It's not. It's not. It's not. Number one, it doesn't have the players. You know, there's one guy out there that comes out saying he's pounding the table because he doesn't do any work. He doesn't do any work, and he doesn't build his own audience. He has to come in to grab you so that you go to his next shitty idea. All right. I want to talk about, well, let's see some of these prices. All right, I get you. I get you. Fingers down 2 cents at 165. Railtown is 48.64. It's actually in the green. But guys, I would jump all over it. You can, for today, you can buy it under 50 cents. You're going to regret it if you're frozen because of these guys. They want you frozen. They drive it down so you go, oh no, I'm losing money. So that when you get back to where you paid for it, or if it goes up, like this one guy here, I don't, when it goes up, I'm out. I don't want to risk losing it all. Because that's what you've experienced over and over and over and over and over and over again. So they want you hot money. And the two goals of suppressing this is they want all those messages in your mind and your wife telling you, honey, I told you not to get him. Don't talk to me about it. I told you. And so when it finally turns in the green, you get out and you help out the shorts. You're going to regret it in the case of Railtown. You're going to regret it. This is a stock to establish your position and not think about it again, probably for 18 months or until Microsoft buys them. Look, they have on their website, they have a series of partners, Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA. Those are obvious buyers of the company. But I was talking to a friend, and he threw an idea off the wall out of the blue. And I said, really? You think that? And I've been thinking about it overnight. You know who could buy Railtown? There's a $100 billion company out there. $100 billion company that went from a $25 million valuation to $100 billion by buying software companies. Constellation Software, CSU. I thought, wow, that's pretty smart of you to think of that. I never would have thought of that. But they could buy them. But anyway, you're not going to want this to be trading money. And you don't want to listen to the devils anymore. And I want to go through one of those stocks. This ALTS is actually up to 7. So in fairness, that's been up, I guess, the last week. Mountain is down to $12. This other one, I'm not going to mention it again. Somebody came on here. It's seller boxed. And, you know, a nice guy came on here with a stock that went down. I'm telling you, anything you hear about, even if you're a good person in these markets, you're going to be destroyed. Northwest Bio is down to 23 cents. They've got a hell of a story. Everything gets destroyed because these people think they deserve it. Energy Vault, which is just buzzwords and an idea, just to nothing special. That's down, but it's $1.68. If you want to play in it, go play in it. I just don't think you should even touch any of these anymore. G-Bucks, where's that? 76 cents. What's the other one? ZJYL. Where's that? 81 cents. It's down a penny. Anyway, there's some of the scores around the league. Let's go back to Railtown. Railtown is 48.64, 48 by 48.79. They've got 49,000 shares on offer at 48.79. Go buy it. Somebody go buy it. Go buy it. Go buy it. Go buy it. In 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most, it's going to be $5, $6, according to me. What's the volume? 41,000. All right, I want to talk about a stock, QNTM, Quantum Biopharma. Quantum, bio, AI, gold, I think, or Bitcoin. It's $17. I have no idea who brought it to you, and I have no idea at what price, but the stock was $38. It was as low as $270, and now it's $17. I want to show you something. Well, actually, I probably have to go through your comments first, because I don't want to lose your comments. So I'll do that. I'll have a sip of my cold coffee. That's a good cup of coffee. What movie is that from? Steve, you're number one. I think you're still number one in a position, but there's one gentleman that might surpass you. Anyway, it's not a competition. Hey, Steve. Hey, T-Bo, Teals. Yes, you're second. Michael, hey, you're doing a good job. You really are. You're taking advantage of the sell-off. I wish I could. I could sell a kidney, but then my gout would be worse. I'm maxed out. But good job, Michael. Hey, Fast Eddie. Giuseppe. DOV Benedicia. I wish I could speak Italian. DOV Benedicia. That's a great language. Cool shirt. Cool shirt. Hey, D-Mac Kalula, be my baby. Yeah, I don't know. It's a Hawaiian shirt. You know, I used to be somebody. With dark pools, hi Stan. With dark pools hiding trades, who determines what trades dark pools, shorts, market maker? I guess my best answer is I don't know. I don't know. I'm not speaking for him, but in the past, when people asked him that question, he'd say it doesn't matter because you still have a record of the trades and you're still going to have to close them out. I don't think that's true any longer. I used to believe it. It's opinion. Nobody knows for sure. But I don't think it matters, Stan, because the premise of your question is that there's enforcement, and that if somehow the magnitude were known, they do something about it. They won't. Your question might also be, are they hiding sales to suck people in? Yes. To buy? Yes. It's all rigged. But Once you accept that there's no enforcement of any rules, there's no consequence for bad behavior in the NASDAQ or in the over-the-counter markets. There's a couple of stocks, a few stocks in the NASDAQ that can carry their own water. I don't know. Where is Tesla? I can't remember. Is it? I think it's NASDAQ. But, you know, an Apple or a Microsoft, they can carry their own water. The New York Stock Exchange probably has some quick, high-frequency traders, but institutions do their own homework. They're on the buy side. But this idea that we're going to find the illegal activity and then some Elliot Ness is going to come rescue it is a false premise. Adina Friedman is paid off. Ann Wagner is paid off. Whoever's running the bloody SEC is paid off. FINRA is paid off. The smiling Cheshire clown Crawwell the third, he's paid off. Everybody is bloody well paid off. As O'Brien, what's his name? O'Brien, the redhead, the Geico heir. He said it's a river of money. It's a river of money. It's a river of money. So market makers don't exist. There's people who buy the names, and you've seen the picture of the rather rotund guy from Morgan Stanley that now supposedly works for the good guys. I forget his name, but I forget the name of his company, Share Intel or something. But he says, we just take the orders. But they're not real market makers. They're there to elide securities law. Under this current SEC chairman, I believe, but maybe it was somebody else. It might have been that guy that protected George W. Bush's Harkin fraud. Cox. I don't think it was Cox. Anyway, the reg show was set up so they could elide all these rules, and then there's no enforcement. So it doesn't matter. Dark pools out in the open. You use Webull. That's all fraud. You use any of those new stock market trading companies, a trade station. It's all fraud. But remember, at the core of it, Bill Clinton made it legal for you to buy nothing. So there's a very hard job. Now, I admire Wes Christian for fighting, but he charges a pretty penny and he'll settle. Mark Bazile, he'll settle over and over again. And it's not to your favor. It's to his favor and the CEO's favor. And he'll say, well, I'm just doing my job. It's the CEO's decision. I guess technically that's true. But the whole system is designed, Stan, to wipe you out and wipe out the market cap and do it in a way they pay no taxes. It's disgusting. But anyway, dark pools, I think the only thing that matters about the dark pools to me is that it doesn't give you a picture of what the true market is for the stock that you're trading. But, you know, why are we trying to see Raquel Welch when all we have is Rosie O'Donnell? That's unfair to both women. Why do we try to see California Chrome when all we have is, you know, a horse pulling a cart at Central Park? There is no price discovery. It's all fraudulent. It's just not worth it. Railtown's worth it. Railtown right now is a Canadian stock. They're one of the top 25. They're on the CSE, the Canadian Stock Exchange. They're in that index. But I would argue that Railtown within 6 months, probably sooner, will be uplisted in Canada. And I've made my feelings strongly felt, not that they're going to listen to me, but the feedback that I got back from Railtown is they're predisposed to do what, not because I said it, not because I said it. I put it in a text or an email or something, but they're very strongly pre-inclined to do what I said, not because I said it, just because they're smart financial guys. So I think Railtown will be listed on the New York Stock Exchange very quickly, before the shorts can move all their trades offshore. I think they're really in trouble here. I hope to hell it doesn't squeeze. I hope it does not squeeze, because then, Stan, you're going to have a question. People here, you're going to have Frank coming on, and Lion, and others coming on. Hey, a win for retail. Attaboy, William. We're so great. Attaboy. And people will start selling out. There's one guy here who I respect. I'm not making fun of him at all. But his view is, I'm getting out in September. Well, these are arbitrary decisions and knee-jerk reactions, but it'll keep you in the pool of all these crappy stocks, and I want you out of that pool of crap. Railtown is on the over-the-counter simply because it's a Canadian stock, but if you want American investor participation, you've got to be on the over-the-counter. That's what they decided. So it didn't start as an over-the-counter stock. So it's different. But I don't think Railtown's going to be a $1 stock. Railtown may never be a $1 stock. You could see Railtown start trading after news at $1.25. It may skip $1. But if it goes to $1, that's just a slight bit of the move. It'll go to $5. And once it hits $5 or $6, institutions come in, and it could run to $15. And the problem is, if you have a short squeeze, is right now, I don't know what I have it here, an estimate of your position. But if someone owns 100,000 shares of Railtown right now, and you listen to Frank come on and say, hey, I think you should buy Quantum. I don't know if he ever recommended Quantum. Hey, it's going to go, or well, if you sell 50,000 shares when Railtown is $5, and you figure, like that platinum blonde idiot, you figure, oh, I can always get back in later. That ain't necessarily so. Ain't necessarily so, because right now the criminals have their computers turned on, and the prime brokers are letting them do it, and the market makers don't exist. It's part of the reg show rule. So they have them. Everything's by computer now. Market makers don't exist, but they keep them to cheat. They keep them to fool you, to make you think there's still a system in place. There's no market makers. Market makers used to take positions, and they used to, or go short to maintain orderly markets. There's none of that anymore. They're just here to sluice the criminal sell orders through the market, while stupid retail, not stupid in the sense of brains, stupid in the sense not understanding or not having the knowledge. Ignorant would be a better word. Anyway, who determines what trades go to dark pools? The shorts, market maker? I don't really see the distinction between the shorts and the market maker. So who would make that decision? Stan, I don't know how it's done on those computers, but maybe you just choose, instead of selling it on the market, you choose the dark pool. I don't know how it works. I would say it's the seller that makes that decision. That's what I would say. It's all rigged. It's all disgusting. Could warrant holders say 15 cents or so sell between 5 and 6 and add down pressure? Does that exist here? Well, there are some warrants out there, and I don't want to go, if I go find them, because I've shown them to you before. If you want to look it up, the most recent filing for financials is essentially as of the end of last year. Remember, when they announced on February 11th, they haven't really made any reporting since. They've been in a quiet period. At least the last time I looked, they hadn't made any reporting. And in there they have, and I have it here. I have to go get it out of my, it'll take too long. I can do it another time, but I have shown it to you before. But you're right. There were a bunch of warrants out there from financings, and they list them all. And they're lower priced. That's true. But they're all short duration. They're all owned, best I can tell, by real investors, not these fronts for criminals. And they're all below the market price now. So no, there's very few reasons that those warrants, let's use your number at 15 cents, would provide a hedge to a new short position today. If one of those guys were criminal, I don't think they were, but if they were and shorted it at 14 cents a year ago or longer, these warrants would give them a little bit of a hedge, but it's so minor. Number one, I don't think it happened. I think the people that own these warrants are properly vetted and known investors. But to the extent maybe a handful of criminals got in there, the number of warrants are very small, and they won't provide much of a hedge. They're under the market now. So if you establish a short now, you have to go buy that warrant, and it's already got a you're not going to buy it at 15 cents from whoever owns it. And they're not even on the market. So no, I don't think these warrants do anything at all. This is just we're going to go through quantum right now, the whole massive industrial attack, but there are also day trader shorts that use market makers, and they hit it during the day. They send me disgusting things to try to dissuade me, and they're just looking to hit and run. There's tire tracks all over your back. I can see you've had your fun. You're just cross-town traffic. God, that guy died at 20. I could have sworn he died at 28, but they say 27. Such a young guy. I tell you, he died at 27, let's say. I think they go back and make that myth that they're all 27. I think he was 28. But anyway, is that a better death than what my mother's going through? I don't know. I don't know. But he lost so many years. He was one talented guy. But no, Giuseppe, I don't think the warrants are doing anything to protect the shorts here. I think the shorts are naked here, and I think they've been hung. They're about to be hung on their own petard. They've really screwed up here. But in the long run, they make so much money and everything else. They'll probably survive it. But it's going to be painful. It's going to be very painful for them. Imagine a situation where large investors, institutional investors, establish positions in Railtown, let's say at $5, $6, $10, and they have all they want. You know, they're not, institutional sellers are not going to get out in a short squeeze. They think in time frames. They don't think in those trades. It's going to be tough for these criminals. That's why they want your shares, and they're going to try to, the siren song of Quantum Biopharma Limited or the next Benedetto Beauty, that siren song, they want that, it's going to try to help them here. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Railtown is, and we'll know more as we go, but Railtown is, oh, the volume's only 10,000. It's only 10,000 shares today. Guys, when the buying is allowed to come in, everybody's under NDA. Everybody that knows anything about this can't buy because they have material information. When the buying comes in, this is going to be 48 seconds, 48 cents for 48 seconds. It'll be $4.80 sooner than you can say, sooner than you can say, sooner than you can remember the geologic time frames and say them out loud. Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Mississippian, Permian, Paleozoic? I don't remember. I used to remember it by saying, "Can Ollie see down my pants pocket?" Hey, Jack Hamilton. Richard K., thanks for keeping up to date. MMTLP made a lot of progress gathering FOIAs. That's awesome. That is awesome. The great hope there is you find fraud, because fraud's going to be very expensive for Fidelity and TradeStation and FINRA, and fraud is the neutron bomb of legal work. Good job, Richard. I'll try to catch up on that somehow. Hey, I am almost legend. I thought of you this morning when I went down for my now cold cup of coffee. Haven't heard from you in a while. Good morning. Sending prayers. I appreciate that. What chance, if any, that the LOI drags out into October or beyond? Obviously, it's always a chance, but you're asking my opinion. I'd say it's a 2% chance that it drags to October. I'm almost legend. They have a real problem. They cannot drag it out forever. If you think about it, they announced it February. Let's imagine what happened. They met at that conference in November or December. But then Railtown joined AI Partnership Network, so that I think was December. There's the holidays, but there's sort of talking, phone calls, thinking. One guy gets up early in the morning and in the shower, he's thinking, we should do this. And the other guy's maybe, by the fireplace in Banff skiing. He gets a phone call. They said, they both agree, let's do it. So they hire Canaccord. That's the beginning of February. So ask yourself, did they have enough time to do due diligence? Did they have enough time to evaluate each other's company? Did they have enough time to, for that matter, value each other's company? I would say no. So they announced Canaccord on February 11th. I could see that they spent 30 days, 45 days, 60 days kicking each other's tires, and having the investment bankers do analysis of comps, like a real estate agent does, just checking out the market, how similar companies are valued, what's a fair price, what are the ratios, who's going to be in the role of leadership, who's going to be in a supportive role. Then talking to investors, the core everybody does that. You canvass your investors, see who's on board, and then you got to get the votes. So let's say it took 60 days to go through all of that, that's May 11th, and then you're going out canvassing for approvals. I don't know how long that takes. Let's say 30 more days. That's June 11th. And then they've announced 4 or 5 enterprise sales agreements You can look it up. I think it was in July. Uh, there might have been one in August. Does that trigger a rewrite or a reprocessing of some documents? Probably. I don't know. Add another 2 weeks. So that gets us into the middle of June. And then what could explain the rest of it? Like I say, I think it's attorneys. And my theory is that unlike Logic, Logic announced they were going to roll in 8 companies. But then, like idiots, they, it's like a girl, the hottest, with the red dress, beautiful at the dance, and all the men are dancing. Well, it used to be this way. I don't know what it's like now because everybody shares the same lovers now. But, she has all the men in tuxedos dancing with her, and everybody's with her. And let's say it's during, I don't know, high school or college. And she's the belle of the ball. And as long as she doesn't make a choice, all the guys are after her. But as soon as she makes a choice with one guy, a lot of those guys disappear. And her choices become then fewer. And now I forgot the point I was making on Railtown. But with Logic, rather than those 8 guys, they're all those 8 companies all being available to roll into Logic. As soon as Logic slept with one of the guys, the other 7 went away. Well, I think I don't know what the rules are now with the swipe left, swipe right. Everybody in every woman is dating the same guy. I don't know now, but in the past, that analogy would have worked. But now, I think what Railtown's trying to make sure, or AI partners anyway, is you've got to lock up. You've got to get a buy-in. You've got to get a agreement that those 165 companies, the core part that represents the majority of 400 million in revenue, that they're signed up. And that's a lot of legal work, and that's a lot of signatures, and that's a lot of checking corporate documents, making sure that the corporate books reflect accurate votes, looking into ownership, making sure that the people who are approving things actually have the right to do that. Maybe somebody died. Maybe in one of the companies, the wife started it, and she, I don't want to make something bad up, but for some reason she died, and the company's left to her husband, and he doesn't know. He's a struggling young artist. He doesn't know what to do with it. And, anyway, you can imagine trying to lock up 30 out of 165 companies, the 80-20 rule, 20% of 150 companies, 30, you've got to lock up 30 companies to get 80% of that revenue. And I'm not saying that you're buying them, but you just got to get the tacit agreement they're going to move forward with this. And you want maybe to get the option to buy. That's a lot of legal work. It's a lot of due diligence. It's a lot of what I would call title work. That's probably not the right word, but just making sure that the books are in correct order. I don't know. How much do you give that? 60 days? 90 days, to hell, it's a lot of work. But I think I'm almost legend. The most important thing is if ultimately this company were to be sold, let's say to Microsoft, I just pick the partners. I'm making it up. You want the books, you want the legal documents so strong that when they come to look, they'll give you the highest price and they'll do it quickly. But what are the odds it would go into October? I think if I were, and I guess I am betting on it, I'd say 0. I think it's going to be, it could be the first week of September, but I've given you my reason. I'm going to stand by it. There's too much vacation time. So I'll say the second week of September. I don't think it's going to go past the second week of September. February, well, you don't start with February, do you? March, April, May, June, July, September, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. That's 7 months. I think they're really, I don't care how many attorneys you have involved. I don't care if the regulators are giving you extensions. I think 7 months is pushing it from a reporting standpoint. I don't know the rules. I'm not an attorney, but I think it's going to be very hard to get it to go to 8 months. No, I think it'll be done by September 15th. I guess that's technically the 3rd. That's the Monday. So I guess I'm cheating with my prediction a little, getting into the 3rd week of September. But I think there's 0 chance it'll extend beyond September 15th. Realistically, we've got to acknowledge there's always a chance that it could go longer, but I just don't see how. I just don't see how. If I had to guess, I'm almost legend. It would be if there weren't Labor Day coming, the holiday, I think they'd do it this week, if I had to guess. But it's the holiday that's making me think that it won't. Number one, any good news, it would be stupid to put it out now because you got a 3-day, 4-day holiday. And then you want to have maximum impact on Wall Street. I've had people tell me that doesn't matter here, but I think it matters. You're not going to do it at the beginning of next week either. So then that brings you to the end of next week, which I think is always a bad time to put out good news. So that's how I come down on the second week. I think it's 99% chance that you're going to see this resolved by September 15th. Hey, Gary Medill. Kenneth, all right. The first person to take advantage today, Kenneth. My coffee is cold. Good for you, Kenneth. Congratulations. Brandon Neely, Ralph Stocktwits says another YouTuber led the sheep over the cliff. How can they say that when the quiet period hasn't even ended? We are waiting. It's not over. Guys, they're sending me. Yesterday when I was live, they sent me, and I say this respectfully, but I don't know what word to use to describe it. So let me look up. Who was Mandingo? Mandingo. Let me see if it's a bad thing to say. Mandingo. Mandingo. I don't know what it is. Anyway, you can imagine the pictures they're sending me and the braggadocio and all that. Brandon, they're just trying the same pattern of tricks that they always do. And I haven't led you over an edge. I haven't led you over an edge. If we think with about 4% of our brain in the real time, maybe it's 5%, but everything else is emotion, subconscious, nattering in our brains, uh, uh, perhaps some of it's physical, and they know all that. And so that's what they're playing on. They want you to think Railtown's another one of these stocks. And if I have time here, I'm hoping to get to quantum and discuss it with you and just go through the anatomy of a sting. I'm not surprised that it's on StockTwits. I appreciate that you got to go look there. There are some people that are honest, but it's so rare that you're going to find them. This is a hellish place. This is like going down to the Bowery or going down to flying into Amsterdam and go window shopping for your next wife. It's just not going to happen. And then I got it. You're going to ask, well, then why is Railtown different? Well, all CEOs believe that it's important to get into the public markets to have access to capital. They don't know, because business school doesn't teach them, that when you get on the over-the-counter market, our Cromwell Clausen Chuck E. Cheese is waiting there to slaughter you. And when you get on NASDAQ, Adina Friedman is waiting there to slaughter you. They don't know that. And I'm not sure Adina or Clausen knows that either. I can never remember how to say his name. It's insignificant, nobody. Nobody's over the cliff on this, by the way. The stock was 20. Some people here paid 22 cents. It's not over the cliff. Guys, don't sell. Don't sell. Don't get into this emotional. You only have 2 more weeks, I think. Maybe it's 3 weeks to wait. And I'm almost legend. I think it's nil. I think the chance that this goes to October is virtually nil. What if they respond to the LOI with an amendment of continuation of the deal, meaning it'll take longer, still working on it? Well, that would be news. And that, I guess, the negative would be they still couldn't talk about anything. Look, Brandon, in anyone's morning constitutional, there's a time to shite and get off the pot. Or get off the pot. They have to do it. They can't just stretch this out forever. Look, the limbo is killing everybody. It's not just we, it's the investors, it's the bankers, and I think, Brandon, the biggest reason I think it's going to be finished by the beginning of September, first half of September, is there's going to be I've explained it to you, but I think there's going to be a flood, a wall of capital coming in Wall Street, coming for AI companies. And there's a huge pressure by the principals to get this all finished by then. So in September, you won't have the August vacation excuse. You won't have the Labor Day vacation excuse. You won't have the due dilly excuse anymore. They've got to finish due dilly. If there's something like a valuation or a sizing up or kicking of the tires before you make the agreement, you won't have that excuse anymore. You've already figured that out. You could have an excuse that our business is so good, so we've got so many deals, and we've got to collect all these and announce them before we can announce the merger. But I think that's back-assward. I think you've seen that they've announced these sales agreements, enterprise agreements, and it has zero effect on the stock price. Why? Because they're still in the quiet period because of the merger. So they could announce 30 deals and the stock would stay where it is until they get the merger done. I think there comes a time in the course of human events where you finish your business or you get off the pot. And that's what I don't think it's going to be stretched out. I know it feels like it, but I think you all have been brave and patient, and you've gone through the uh, dog days of summer, but action starts in September. Every year people go to school. Every year people come back to work. And on Wall Street, third quarter is the time to make your bonus. So I don't think they're going to stretch it out. When the quiet period ends, we'll see the direction we're going. Fast, slow, steady up. Well, if those are the three choices, fast, slow, or steady, I would pick. I would pick. I would pick a blend. I would pick steady up until 5, and then rapid movement after $5 up. And then Jack is saying, great news. All right, let's just see. It's 9:30 here. Let's just see if I can go over this with you quickly before I have to go to the hospital. Look at this again, by the way. Look at this again. Look at these deals. The top two, 150 times revenue. The top two, here, top two. The next one, 88 times, and then 72 times revenue, 67 times, 60 times, 55 times, 45. The bottom one is 23 times. Look at this valuation right here, 100 million in revenue, $7.2 billion market value, enterprise value. Look at this one, 40 million in revenue, 3.5 billion with 40 million in revenue. Down here, 100, these three are all 100 million in revenue, 6 billion, 5.5 billion, and 5 billion. Guys, it's worth the wait. This isn't another one off the cliff. I'm just sorry about that. It isn't. All right, I want to show you this. I'm going to read from it, but I want to show you my source. This is Trader Zero. A friend of mine sent me this, Trader Zero up top here, and down here, an anatomy of a ramp and dump, a quantum case study. pump and dump schemers have played the market. Anyway, I want to go over this with you. I don't know who brought the story to you, and I have my ideas, but my point isn't to pick on them per se. It's just to tell you this is the game. And I'll read it and we'll talk about it as we go. And I don't know this guy, Trader Zero, but I'd have to say that if he's willing to put this out there, he must be one of the guys you can rely on. Anyway, this came out 2 days ago, I guess. Pump and dump schemes have plagued markets for decades, but their tactics evolve with every cycle. In 2025, Quantum Biopharma, QNTM, emerged as a prime example of how retail traders can be drawn into a manufactured ramp only to face significant losses when insiders and financiers dump amid the hype. It's exactly right. It's exactly what they do. It's exactly what they do. And you think they're all your friends. They're not. So this article dissects the quantum QNTM cycle. And I don't know who brought it to you, but remember who it was. You can't trust that person. I think I know who did it. This article and it doesn't mean you can say you can't trust their judgment if you want to be kind. This article dissects the quantum cycle, highlighting warning signs, structural setups, and distribution mechanics for inexperienced traders. Unlike brief speculative posts on Twitter, this analysis is detailed. I like it. I'm glad that he's doing this work. And grounded in public data from SEC filings, stock charts, and regulatory notices. So this, again, let me give you, I showed it to you, but let me give you again his handle. It's Trader Zero. I also examine how influencers like Kevin Malone Wealth, an advisor to Quantum's board with significant shareholdings through Malone Wealth Ventures, almost 600,000 shares, 17%, amplified the narrative. Yes, and he might have hired some of these, or he doesn't have to hire them. They just bask in his glow and go do his work for him. His posts often highlighted alleged market manipulation against Quantum, drawing parallels to GameStop and encouraging direct registration of the shares to lock the float. It's all bullshit, guys. This intentional amplification fuels retail inflows. Recognizing these dynamics is key to self-protection. Let me just send my sister something. She just texted me. I can't do it. I just can't do two things at the same time. So let's leave it alone. Okay. So you get impressed with Kevin Malone. Everybody's impressed with big whales. It's all bullshit. So Malone's posts often highlighted alleged market manipulation against QNTM, drawing parallels to GameStop and encouraging direct registration of shares to quote unquote lock the float. This intentional amplification fuels retail inflows. Recognizing these dynamics is key to self-protection. Phase one. Engineering scarcity. Reverse splits and dilution setup. And a lot of these stocks you guys give me, you can look at it come all the way down on the chart, and then it has a bump up. They do a reverse split, and you get all excited. So August 2024, Quantum executed a 1-for-65 reverse split, reducing the float from 77 million shares to 1 million shares. I'm rounding. Reverse splits aren't inherent growth drivers. They often enhance per share optics and facilitate future dilution at elevated prices. Bravo, good for him. Then they do this at the money shelf activation. Post split, Quantum activated an at the market ATM shelf offering, allowing ongoing share issuance during price strength. They all do it. And I showed you it with I don't know if it was with Quantum or Energy Vault. One of them. I showed you the prospectus, the cover. I didn't show you much, but it was in the SEC filings. And then he talks about warrants and convertibles. The company held various warrant tranches and convertible debt. These instruments incentivize counterparties to foster volatility and ramps. Now, what does he mean by ramps? He defined it up here. Okay, he says at the first paragraph, Quantum Biopharma, QNTM, emerged as a prime example of how retail traders can be drawn into a manufactured ramp. And I guess that's a better, I've used the term manufactured stocks or manipulated stocks is what I've said. Maybe this is a better definition, ramps. Okay, so warrants and convertibles. The company held various warrant tranches and convertible debt. These instruments incentivize counterparties to foster volatility and ramps, as they can short positions and cover via these low-cost conversions. By second quarter of 2025, all bonds were converted to equity, but the structures still enabled dilution. He's exactly right. As of August 2025, the float stands at approximately 3.45 million shares. That's up from 1.2 million. Then phase two, they do an awareness campaign. And listen to this: paid, 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 paid. PR and social amplification, paid PR and IR, investor relations, paid. COSM, Clearview, any Benedetto Beauty, he's paid. Now, I don't think per se getting paid in a situation is necessarily bad, but you got to, what is Frank? Is he a genius analyzer? Is he an investment banker? Is he a guy who has worked with companies before to raise money so that he has an innate gut sense of what deals are good and what are bad? Or does he just, is he a gun for hire? I don't know. Leave it to you. So it's paid PR and social amplification is phase 2. So in February of 2025, sounds right, Quantum hired Enterprise Canada, 10,000 initially plus monthly fees for a long time. I don't know if Frank's part of Enterprise Canada, but they can always pay someone else. And they also hired Empire MV. Empire sounds like New York City, New York, so that could be where monies are going to people, you know. They hired Empire MV, 25,000 a month for 3 months starting February for PR and investment awareness campaigns. These firms focus on retail promotion, and this was disclosed in the SEC filings. Kevin Malone's role, I've got to give great credit to this gentleman. Let's give you his name again. Trader Zero. This is well done. And he's clearly not coming in to pretend to be your friend and then suck you somewhere else. He's coming in with, I think, a thorough representation of what goes on. And he's showing he's one of the good guys, my opinion. Kevin Malone's role as a board advisor, compensated by shares. I don't know what an RSU is, reverse split RSU. I don't know what that is. He's compensated via shares and RSUs, with his firm holding a substantial stake. RSU, registered share. I don't know what an RSU is. Malone amplified Quantum on Twitter with bullish posts. Examples include alleging brokerages, quote unquote, turning off the buy button. Have you heard that before? Turning off the buy button. Oh, God. I used to believe some of this crap. Echoing GME in 2021. Highlighting fails to deliver. Have you heard that crap? And teasing, quote unquote, illegal techniques to suppress the stock. This created perceived organic buzz, but aligns with FINRA 09-05 red flags for coordinated promotions. While not a formal investor relations hire, his content, often tying Quantum, QNTN, to Genius, GNS, another shitco he advises. I like this guy. Drove retail interest. As of 8/21/25, Malone has been terminated, which, by the way, he might have wanted. So now he can trade his shares as advisor to the board. Warning, disclosures of PR firms in filings combined with influencer hype, like Malone's, suggest coordination. Retail investors are typically the target. Exactly. That's exactly right. I like this guy. Phase 3, the ramp. You get a PR flood and retail hooks. And this happened with Quantum. And in my own defense, I called it out, but Maybe not loudly enough. This is beautiful what Trader Zero has done here. Quantum stock began 2025 this year at around $3.68. That's where it closed in January. By the middle of June and July, it ramped during a flurry of announcements. June 27, 6K filing with promotional content, but limited financial depth. July 8th, on UK fast track submissions for a drug candidate. July 22nd, announcements of a strategic GameStop investment, 2,000 shares, a clear nod to meme stock enthusiasts. July 31, unbuzzed licensee capital raise, Reg D offering for growth potential. Quantum holds a 20% stake, no direct dilution to Quantum shares. During this period, the stock surged from a low of $12.75 June 10th to an intraday high of $38.25 June 20, closing at $35 on June 20. Volume spiked 828,000 shares. However, on-balance volume showed divergence, indicating retail buying while distribution occurred. A second wave in early August pushed the stock to another high of $31.91, August 11th intraday, before volatility ensued. Malone's Twitter posts intensified here, hyping failure to delivers, broker delays, and GME-like manipulation. Phase 4, distribution, feeding retail, liquidity. And this is why they hire these people. They need you. They need someone to steal from. Float turnover with a 3.45 million share float. Quantum averaged, QNTM averaged 190,000 shares per day in August, equating to 5.5% daily turnover. Typical microcaps see less or approximately 1.5%. This elevated churn suggests rapid cycling, providing cover for exits. ATM warrants, high turnover masks. ATM is at the money, issuances and warrant exercises. This is their new disguise of the sting operation. Oh, at the money. We're not doing it's all lies. So they did high turnover mass at the money issuances and warrant exercises. Retail buys likely served as liquidity for insiders. That's what happens. They sell and they get the next company and they sell again. And then they get mad at you if, well, do your own due diligence. I got out, you didn't. Further tightening perceived availability and fueling hype. Phase 5, the dump, breakdown confirmation. When he uses these terms, distribution and breakdown, he's describing how charts, the pricing of a stock, how charts, you have the rally, then you have distribution, and then the stock breaks down. The dump, breakdown confirmation, August 19th. QNTM dropped 12% from $20.61 to $18 on 2 times the average volume. This wide range down bar signaled distribution. The on-balance volume collapse from 1.6 million to 1 million in a week, confirming supply stock for sale outpaced demand. The probability of continuation of this trend. Absent major new catalysts, historical pump and dump patterns suggest 60 to 90% retracements, a round trip, a round trip. As of August 20, the price recovered slightly to $18, but volatility persists amid ongoing press releases and promotion, PR, and influencer activity. And at the time of publication, the stock closed at 1771. That's he put this out August 25th, down 55% from the pump highs. A detailed analysis of the price action is included at the end of the article. He makes a note here. Quantum has some assets. However, as a zero revenue bio research company, they require a lot of cash for the next 3 to 5 years to get FDA approval. And this is why the bio stocks are destroyed, because as soon as they take financing from the criminals, it doesn't matter what the good news is. The per share effect is going to be destroyed by the criminal issuance. Well, maybe who really stuck the knife in first? Do you blame the CEOs? I do. These are smart men and women. They should know what they're signing. But I blame Adina Friedman and Cromwell, Cheesy, Chucky, whatever his name is, at the over-the-counter markets. They have multiple MS drugs that will not be final until 2029. $700 million lawsuit against banks for spoofing will go nowhere. A majority of debt was converted to equity, 4-month lockup, but dilutive, and $10 million in assets. They may have a solid drug that someday will support recovery, but they need at least $100 million to get there, so dilution. In other words, the per share, that's what you own, are shares. The per share impact of good news, destroyed. All right, compliance framework, FINRA 0905 red flags. FINRA notice 0905 details markers of manipulative campaigns. Quantum hit several. Check. Reverse split, August of 24. Check. Paid awareness, February 25 PR firms. Check. Aggressive PR cadence. Check. Multiple 6Ks and PRs in June, July. And then check. Retail bait, GME investment, unbuzzed. So that's a check. Check. Thin float, high turnover. Check. Dilution structures, the warrants at the money shelf, convertibles. And then finally check influencer amplification. And I think there's 1 or 2 people that came on and told you to buy or told you to look at QNTM. Investigative findings, full anatomy of the scheme. Corporate actions, reverse splits created scarcity, ATM shelf warrants and convertibles built a dilution pipeline. Promotional layer, paid PR merged with social amplification to generate artificial buzz. Retail hooks, GME and Bitcoin investment, unbuzzed licensee raise, and fast track submissions, blatantly targeting and driving retail hype. Distribution mechanics, on balance, volume, divergent, that's the charts. Regulatory red flags, multiple FINRA triggers make it, quantum a micro cap manipulation study, as it checks almost every box. Disclaimer: this analysis highlights patterns but does not confirm fraud. That's the problem. You get attorneys in that say, well, prove it. No SEC or FINRA rulings exist as if they matter. They're all corrupt. So the lessons for retail traders: reverse split signal cautiousness, not bullishness. When you see a reverse split, you should be cautious, not bullish. They often precede dilution. At the market shelf registrations, warrants, convertibles indicate there's a dilution pipeline ahead. Management will benefit from the cash inflows, but you won't. I'm adding some of my own words. PR press release without substantive financials, especially with paid campaigns and retail hooks, are suspect. Daily float turnover can show an unsustainable churn. So then he gives his trading tips, so you can follow that on his Twitter. He says, always be skeptical when social media influencers like Malone, and he's tied to the company, amplify narratives which almost always indicate a ramp is in play using manipulation narratives. Always verify compensation and cross-check facts. Now, in Railtown, I want to just tell you, I'm not being paid anything by anybody, anywhere, anyhow. I've tried to show you each and every time I've tried to enter into evidence, so to speak, the due diligence, the data, the information that I have. So closing thoughts, Quantum, QNTM, is the latest example of these recurring ramp and dump mechanics you will find in other hype trades with angry bag holders. Float reduction, awareness ignition, PR floods, retail unloading, and collapse. By dissecting it with data, traders can spot schemes easily or early. If reverse splits, dilution tools, aggressive PR, retail bait, and influencer hype align, proceed cautiously. I just say get out of the whole pool. Don't try to find tuna that tastes good in waters full of sewage. You don't need to buy and hold, just snipe the chart and sell the stock before you lose gains. Yes, I think in general that's the only way to do it. In retrospect, when we hear these things, you should do your own, participate in the pump and dump. But let's not do that with Railtown. I'm telling you guys, Railtown is not one of these stocks. It's so rare to find something that's going to work so magnificently. You don't want to limit your gains, and you will not be able to reestablish your position. If you own 100,000 shares of Railtown now and it goes to 6 and you listen to somebody comes on, what a win for retail, and you dump it and you go buy a stock like Quantum because someone tells you it's going to go up, and then you come back looking to buy 100,000 shares of Railtown after you get singed in Quantum, you may only be able to buy 5,000 shares. And just because that idiot Tony Twat and the platinum blonde ditzy say, well, that doesn't make sense. If I sell it, I should be able to buy it back. They don't know what they're talking about. Some of this advice I wouldn't use as it relates to Railtown, but Okay. It isn't the SEC or FINRA's job to remind you that you are exit liquidity. In other words, he's saying the SEC and FINRA doesn't need to tell you you are the sucker. Retail, they need to pump it up. I've tried to tell you this. Two computers talking to each other will recognize another computer. They need retail in there so they have something to steal. I don't know if he's right about that. I think the SEC and FINRA should put it on every statement, on every confirmation, on every bit of promotional material. Wall Street does not enforce securities laws on stocks under $5. We as the SEC and FINRA do not prosecute securities violations on stocks under $5. We allow spoofing, coordinating, and shorting and destruction of market caps by criminals on stocks under $5. I think they need to let you know that. If you are still holding quantum, thinking it will bounce, think again. Today's volume was 70,000 shares, and the chart reflects further downside is coming. I agree with him. But it doesn't even matter. Why take the risk? He gives an analysis of the charts. I'm going to skip all that. He's good. And he says, follow me at Trader Zero for blunt, no nonsense analysis and commentary you won't find anywhere else. And then he's got a pitch. Join TZ's Trading Zone X community where you can ask me anything you want. And it's he's got 89 members for the Discord to fire up, whatever that means. When it gets to 100, it goes live, and we cut off free memberships. So he's pitching a little bit, but I think I'm going to follow him. But I don't really go on Twitter because I can't control my reactions. Anyway, I wanted to read that to you about quantum, partly because I admire that guy's work, but partly I want to show why I get so upset when people come on here and recommend these other stocks like they did with quantum or they do with these others. And then sometimes you guys say, oh, he's a good guy. Well, how do I know that? When he's recommending a piece of crap stock that has no chance in hell, as if it's an alternative or a simultaneous investment with Railtown. Railtown is unique among all these stocks, and it's the only stock you need to own. You shouldn't listen to any of these others. Maybe one of them will work. Stop listening to them. When Railtown works, I'm never going to listen to any of these stocks again, ever. And by the way, I'm missing out on silver. I'm missing out on oil and gas. I'm missing out on mining shares. There's going to be real money to be made elsewhere. But right now, it's Railtown. And there's only one stock I know of that I can give you my gut. Nothing's 100%. But if something were 100%, I'd say this is 100% that you're going to see 10x. Nothing is 100%, of course, but you're paying 50 cents. When I'd say in 2 weeks, is that right? Let me look. Well, All right, so we go to next week. Yeah, I'd say within 2 weeks, maybe within 3 weeks, but I'd say within 2 weeks. That's official, and you are going to see your account become much, much bigger. And it's the only thing you need to do. It's the only stock you need to own. Let me go through your comments. I am going to hang up after. I apologize because I have my sister called a little while ago. I have to go meet her, and I'm going to go do that. So let me go through your comments. Brandon Neely, Ham was the backbone of the pump and dump on quantum. I wasn't talking about Ham, but maybe it was Ham. I was actually thinking it was Frank Benedetto, but maybe it was Ham. Uh, uh, they all do this pattern. All of them do this pattern, and I, in retrospect, I fell for it because I actually believed, from my own experience, that Wall Street had these triggers. They don't anymore. Bill Clinton saw to that. Bill Clinton saw to that. But then George W. Bush got Reg Show passed, and then Obama never even had a banker in the docket. And I know we can follow on. Let's keep going. Don't trust Ham's rumors. Okay. Bill Michael, I deal with attorneys every week. I have forensic cases that are still ongoing 3 years since the start. I like your conviction for a September closing date, but that might be too optimistic. Yeah, it could be. I think fair enough, Bill. You know, anyone's foolish to make such a prediction, but I believe it'll be September. I think it would be this week, except that you've got the 3-day holiday. I think it would be next week, except you got the 3-day holiday. So that's why I pick the second week of September. Bill, I just do not believe, from a regulatory standpoint and from a making sure they're the first to market and they're the first out there to receive monies and contracts and claim the beach. They've got to move. I mean, they're going from the War Department planning phase to give the gasoline and tanks to George Patton and let's get moving. You know, they're just running out of time to kick it in gear. But I acknowledge your point, Bill. I do acknowledge your point that I guess my difference, Bill, now versus any of these 3 months where I've I have felt any day it could get done, is just that we're coming into schools back and it's time to get back to work. We're through the vacation period, and they've only got September, October, and November to earn their bonuses and to get things done. I just, it's action time. September is action time. So that's, but Bill, I'm not dismissing your point. You are correct that it could take longer. I just don't believe it will. Brandon, Quantum, Finger, G-Bucks, MTEN, GNS, ZJY, NRGV, all ham bait plays. Stay away from them. Well, I had uh, you know, I'm not going to defend Finger anymore because I think we're in a period of time with Finger that's treacherous. If Finger makes it through the next 5 months or so, um, it has a story. But I think it's treacherous for Finger right now. So I would stay away from all of those at the moment. Bill Michael, this acquisition is moving at the speed of law, which is a snail's pace. Yes. I think once you get attorneys involved. But the good side of it, Bill, is this is a prelude for an acquisition. Because I can only imagine if they do not have the legal frameworks in place, that a buyout later on would be disappointing. So there will be gain for our pain, I think. If the attorneys can make this a sound package of words and signatures and filings, um, look, at this point, it's just a wild ass guess, but I can imagine that this company, and I did it so many times one weekend, and of course, it's my own bias. You can do it, but I put in revenue numbers and multiples and growth of revenue, and anyway, I think a buyout of almost $300. I came up with $275 in stock could happen. I don't know. We don't have enough information, and it'd be 18 months from now, 2 years from now. I mean, it's not anything to plan on, but but uh, uh, that would not be achievable with crappy legal work or something sketched on the back of a napkin. So the legal part is a necessary evil, which could reward us in the future. But I agree with you. I agree with you that it's slow because of that. Bill Michael, you were so right. Stay away from ham and hordes. They will always be victim and flatboat. Yes, it's very hard to avoid. And you saw me buy into, what was the stock? COSM, and I quickly got out. But it's very hard to fight. We're all animals. We're all triggered by emotions and things we don't even understand. Some sort of fear, flight, uh, triggers in our brains and our reptilian, if it is reptile. Um, anyway, it's hard to fight, but you're exactly right, Bill and Brandon. Restricted stock units. Thank you, Eddie. Am I showing you that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about? I never heard of that before. I know what it means. It's a separate term because you would have restricted stock. But if you're given a unit of stock, in other words, there's offerings where it's a unit. So when you send in $2.50, you get one share and you get a warrant, or you get one share and you get half a warrant, or in the case of the finger filing, one share and 1.5 warrants. And that's described as a unit. So that's probably what that's referring to, restricted stock units. I love this one too. STP. I was thinking about that last night. I told my sister about it. She's very smart, but that's just not something she had any knowledge of. STP. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I want to close by saying I am absolutely 100% convinced that the only stock to own right now is Railtown. I agree with these guys that the slowness, the stickiness is probably attorneys. But that's because of regulations and it's the crap CEOs and longs and law-abiding citizens have to go through. The criminals have it all set up, and it was greased by Bill Clinton and Secretary Rubin with the idea that the banksters can regulate themselves. What a preposterous idea. But anyway, Railtown, I think it's only 2 more weeks that you have to wait. And I think you're going to see 10x. And I think that's going to start your reward for this wait. So bravo for building your position, which again is 11,564,000 shares, 8.3%. And we've got almost 200 shareholders. Bravo. So anyway, I'm going to go. I have to attend to why I'm out here. So I wish everyone, well, let's go over the prices quickly. Let's see what they're doing. Nothing. Railtown is 16,700 shares, 48 by 48.8. Quantum is up 62 cents. Don't get sucked in. They're going to walk that down. ZJYL 82.99. G Bucks 82.99. Wow. What are the odds? Energy Vault 164.5. These are all crap. Unfortunately, the real investments, silver's starting to go up, and there's other miners and other things happening. We don't have to deal with these anymore. Let's stay together. Let's stay together. And this, we become an investment group that we can start seeing real deals. And I'll do my best to usher you through those. But in the meantime, I wish everybody peace in their lives, and don't forget that anybody around you you love can disappear while you're alive, or vice versa. Where we all, as Clint Eastwood said, we've all got it coming, kid. So everything's temporary. Remember to enjoy it. Focus on the wonderful. Focus on the wonderful. Anyway, peace to everybody.